Hey, gang. Had to work a little bit late today and put in some hours, so getting a little bit of a late start on this one. As you can see, I'm being super professional today. I've got on a green hoodie. There will probably be email dings in the background. It's not you, it's me. My dog is upset with me and he's all curled up. Yeah, this is just going to be the kind of professionalism and perfection you can accept from this channel because it's going to be awesome. So let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a Sprintwatch, which is just kind of where I go in and look over the changes in the roadmap. Not many big changes this time, which is actually kind of a good thing. Usually kind of what happens at the end of a patch. But let's get into it. Let's look at what's changed and let's talk about it. Okay, so I like to start these out with a caveat. So the caveat is basically the way that CIG works is in the agile system. Agile system works in sprints. So you give a team, do this task for a couple weeks, sort of see what you come up with. If they run to blockers, they kind of report back with that. They're kind of like, hey, we're on to something cool. Give us a little bit more time. They get that. If they say there's another team we need, they do that. So basically the in thing is a team might put a sprint down, go do something else for a while, and then come back and pick it up. Just kind of the way agile and sprints work. So something can be 100% done on this roadmap. It's not actually done. It's actually got more sprints, and there's a few of them that are like that. I kind of go over a few of them every time just to kind of point them out, but might not do that this time. Stay tuned. I do it in three parts. So the first thing I do is sort of read through the roadmap roundup. Then I kind of come over here, look on the release view, and just sort of see what's changed there. Typically, the roadmap roundup tells you what's changing on the release view. And then this over here is the progress tracker. And I go through all the changes on the progress tracker. Get that all set up for you guys. All right, with that in mind, I'll put timestamps in the down below section. So if you want to skip one part for another, if you just want to get into the meat of this, then that's fine. You'll be able to do that. This one should be pretty short. I like to go through. I have always said this last few weeks, ever since I missed it. This top part, they rarely hide something in there, but every once in a while they'll put like an extra sentence in there. I think they stopped doing that. I still read it every time. But let's go ahead and get this. So, notable changes for December 7th, 2022. Release view. The following cards have passed their final review for Alpha 3.18. Therefore, we are changing their status to committed. Drake Vulture, building, balancing, and implementing Drake's interplanetary light salvage ship, the Vulture, into the game. Cargo System Refactor, I was thinking if there was one that wasn't going to make it for 3.18, Cargo Factor was kind of looking iffy, but I've been saying for a while now that the three pillars of 3.18 were Cargo Refactor, Persistent NA Streaming, and Salvage. Looks like all three are in, so we're pretty deep into Evocati. Should be dropping to the PTU pretty soon from the sounds of it, so hopefully by the time you're watching this, it'll be in your grubby little hands, and I'll have a video out kind of showing all the newfangled things that are in there. Anyway, Cargo System Refactor. This refactor of the ship cargo system will allow both found and purchased cargo to be picked up, moved around, and placed into the cargo grid of the ship. Time trial race missions. Time trial race missions are being added throughout the Stanton system. Throughout. They have several races now, which is kind of cool. Players will be able to test their skills versus set times, earning rewards based on performance, and even unlocking more tracks as they progress. And I think they said that there's something like 17 tracks. I know that there's 4 that they've talked about in the show, so who knows? There's one on Area 18, there's one on Lorville, or right outside of Lorville. There's one through Orison, and I want to say there's one around Grim Hex. I don't know if there's one on Microtech. There'd almost have to be. Persistent NA streaming. Implementation of persistent NA streaming core technology into Star Citizen. making use of services such as Entity Graph and Replication Layer. This will allow every dynamic object in the game to fully persist across all servers, irrelevant of whether it is owned or held by a player. That is cool, people. This right here is the blocker for 4.0, in my opinion. There's other things that got to bang out for 4.0, but that's the big one. Gen 12 Scene Render. New rendering architecture to improve performance. This milestone renders every scene object through the new render, with optimizations and additional features, such as Vulkan, coming in the future. And that's it. The sort of big deal, and I'll get to this right now, we'll head over to the release view and just see what the changes are. The big changes, and probably the most notable thing, is I think this is the first... It's hard to call it a quarterly patch since we basically had 3.18 since I think April. But quarterly patch is that this is the first time that I can remember that something in the cards here wasn't bounced out like within the last few months. So every card that they had on here for 3.18 that I can remember actually made it on here. And so the big ones they were talking about, Cargo Refactor was a change. So that one switched to committed, which means it's definitely going to be in the patch. I want to say there's another one. Yeah, Time Trial Races was another one that they just switched over from tentative to committed. Drake Vulture, for whatever reason, on the progress tracker, Drake Vulture's been done for a couple weeks. I think they just want to see if there's any major blockers in testing. It doesn't look like there were, so it's committed. Persistent A streaming and Gen 12, they're kind of making a few of us nervous. The fact that those were still tentative, now they're committed, they're going to be in. And that's really it for the release view. Like I said, this is one's usually these run 45 minutes to an hour. I think this one I might be able to bang out in 20 minutes. There were not a lot of changes this time. So let's go ahead and get through here. So hopefully it didn't close down all of my changes. Let me look real quick. Be able to tell? Yeah, it did. It actually closed them. So let's swing through. The first one I want to talk about was AR map marker, which is right here. So this is kind of one of the things that there is the new sort of quantum map, the new star map is coming, and new scanning, new map marker system. There's a couple of deliverables on here that are related to that, and they're all wrapping right around now. So I don't think they made the cut for 3.18, but for 3.19, they should definitely be in there. So we should be seeing some market improvements in a lot of the UI elements in 3.19, I would think. So let's go on down. So another one that I just want to point out, it's not super far along. I think it's saying at 78% or so. And again, that doesn't include the downstream teams for part 2. But the Banu Merchantman, for right now, as far as this roadmap is concerned, work is still continuing on the Merchantman. So they haven't put a pin in it yet. That's probably going to be after they release 3.18 to wider PTU. They'll probably make a call on whether they're going to keep production into the new year, because it would make sense to work up to the end of the year and either kill it or keep it going. So we'll see. Even as a Banu Merchantman owner, and that is going to be my ship in the game, I'm of mixed feelings on that. That I could go either way on that. If they don't work on it until later, I get it, because a lot of its gameplay isn't in, and getting that much crew, you'd almost want NPC crews to be in, which is something they're working on, but they're not done yet. On the other hand, if I got it in my hands, I'd be absolutely over the moon. But the Banu Merchantman, even if they keep working on it straight through, it's not going to be done until at least the end of next year, if not the beginning of what year are we in? 2024. Like the beginning of 2024 is sort of when I would expect it to drop, unless they really pushed hard and got it in for IAE next year, which don't count on that. So let's cruise on down. The cargo refactor, wrapping in a week or so. It's now committed, so it's going to be in there. So now it's just kind of doing polishing and testing. Let's see. This one is always kind of one that I think is kind of cool. It is charge drain, just wrapped. I'm thinking my sort of theory for the last few, basically last couple months, if you've been following this channel, is I am thinking that 319 will be kind of a sneaky engineering patch, sort of a multi-role ship patch where you have to actually fix components and stuff like that. And charge drain would be a part of that. Let's keep going. So EVA tier 2, it's also going to be like UI improvements. So I would think with the UI improvements coming, they'd be able to do that. Crusader Spirit, work's been going on the actual ship itself, so not just concepting it. They've actually got it in white box, possibly even gray box. It's going to be going on for a while, so probably maybe SitCon next year, IAE of next year. They drop the Crusader Spirit as kind of the small one. I could see that happening. Let's head on down. So we've got next one I wanted to talk about. This is sort of the other one that I think they'll sneak into 319, EVA tier 2. So in SitCon this year, they were talking about the new EVA mechanics where you'd actually be flying like Iron Man and be able to use your hands and kind of push off. Very cool stuff. I think that's coming with 319. It certainly looks like it's going to be in that window. Keep in mind that CIG basically has from this week 13 point to usually about the week 4 point off, where they're either on vacation or they're just doing planning sessions. They're not actually working on these things. Not that planning sessions aren't work, but they're not work in the sense that we're building X things and programming and stuff like that. So that is EVA. Let's see. We're going to head on down here. Gen 12 render, same thing like cargo refactor. It's committed. It's coming in. They've just about got it wrapped, so they're just doing polishing and testing. Next one is a little ways down. So ladders, tier 1. This was another one that they talked about. I think this was in the Richard Tyre, Chris Roberts talk when they were talking about ladders, where you'd actually be able to look over your shoulder and then vault off and jump and basically do like Lara Croft stuff or Assassin's Creed stuff from a ladder. You won't just be on rails anymore. They just wrapped that. Again, I don't think it'll be in 318, probably 319 asset, so they'll probably just do a little bit more polishing on it. But it's cool. It's basically done now, at least as far as that sprint's concerned. So the next one down is along that theme with the map and the radar. We got it right here, wrapping real soon. So again, 319 could be kind of a groundbreaking patch for UI, or at least that's the hope. And the MFD rework, this one's taking a bit longer, so that's probably going to be a 4.0 asset. But all in all, looking pretty good. We'll see, wrapping pretty soon, but we're not getting that one until cargo tier 2. So what I've been saying with the whole C is wait until freight elevators are in, which is up here. Because freight elevators is kind of the indicator of when they think the next iteration of cargo is coming in, and that's out here near the end of Q1. So consider that to be a 4.0 asset. And the whole C would make a lot of sense dropping in for 4.0 and Pyro, just running big cargo through there and having something for pirates to kind of glom onto, giving whole sea operators an excuse to hire escorts and stuff could be a big deal. So going with my theory that I'm going to blast through this pretty quickly. let's see, where was it? Physical damage and breakability. So this one's kind of cool. They haven't really talked about it a lot, but this one is like ships colliding with each other will actually break them up. Or if you shoot something, I guess you can actually shoot it in half. That's wrapping pretty cool, pretty soon here. I am assuming that would be something they would have to have for the next iteration of salvage, which is ship munching, where you can actually break a ship in half. So you're not just scraping up the skin, you're actually tearing the ship apart and chewing up pieces. Pretty cool stuff. Rastar, which of course is down in the R's. This is what they're using to actually build all the outposts now. They finished it, which is really cool. This will also be the tool that we will use when we use the Pioneer to build outposts or estates or stuff. But right now it's just a dev tool. We don't have it yet, but it's cool. It's going to be in the game. We should start seeing the benefits from that probably next year. We'll get to see a lot of these little colonies and frontier towns. It'll start moving away, hopefully, from the little, I kind of call them portables. They just kind of look like the portables we had out back of our school for sort of overflow classes. The RSI Galaxy is not on here yet. Oh, I do want to talk about the RSI links. So they actually have started work on the links last couple of weeks. Wraps around here. There aren't downstream teams on this one, but it's a smaller vehicle, so there's fewer downstream. They'll still have UI and sound involved with it, so it's not actually Q1, probably Q2-ish, June-ish, probably a 4.0 asset. But the RSI Galaxy is not up here yet, which means it is still taking up space down in the... we'll get there in a second. Subsumption is right here. Editor integration is about to end. So that's sort of... Subsumption is what they use for NPCs to kind of tell them, give them a schedule and sort of act more natural is what subsumption is, at least last we heard it. So now they can apparently do it on the fly in the engine, which is amazing. And since I know everyone at CIG basically stops what they're doing, sits down and watches this show the second it launches, yeah, you should probably do a show on that. That and ropes. Throwing that out there. All of my fan. So the RSI Galaxy, I believe there are two options for it. So the first one is this one, where it was just the audio and VFX, which would kind of make sense for the trailer that we saw. The other option is it's this one, which took 71 weeks. This is going to be a giant ship. One of the reasons I don't think it's this one is because the concept team is working on it clear up to, like, what would that be, May or so? So the concept team hasn't really finished this one. Now, because they're going directly into production on this one, what that could be is they're just kind of doing an early stage white box and getting it really fleshed out, which easily could be the case. So if this is the Galaxy, they're actually going to start building it pretty soon. If this is the Galaxy, they're not building it anytime soon. But I wanted to say somewhere they said the Galaxy was actually going to be entering production next year. If that's the case, this is probably it. I was kind of going on the theory that this one of 71 weeks would be a big military ship that the concept would drop for Invictus, which is around March, which is around here, which would make sense. Which I'm kind of low-key hoping that this is the Galaxy and this is something else, because there's a couple big military ships, both in lore and kind of hinted at through various devs over the years, that there's a big military ship out there that they've kind of been eyeballing. This would make sense. But we don't know. We don't know until they actually put the RSI Galaxy on the roadmap as an item, probably 2 weeks from now. And when they do that, we'll be able to tell which one of these it is. This one, again, if this isn't the Galaxy, something that just uses audio and VFX, if it's not just for a short movie, I don't know what that is. That was kind of my theory the last couple of weeks, but I don't know. 0G push pull. This goes along with the Iron Manning 0G movement. As opposed to using your thrusters, you can use your hands, kind of push off of things or kind of alligator walk along things. Kind of cool. Wrapping pretty soon. Again, I think that's going to be a 319 asset. They're not going to release the moving in 0G until they release this. So those two will go hand in hand. In fact, I'm kind of surprised they put them down as two different deliverables, but probably different teams working on it. And gang, that's it. There really weren't a lot of changes this time, which is kind of a good thing. So there wasn't, we're adding 10 weeks to this. There's 5 weeks cut on this. There's 20 weeks added on this one. New feature, new feature, new feature. It's just kind of rounding down to the end of the year. I still say we might get a go, no go on Squadron 42, but they haven't said anything yet, nor do I think they would until sometime next year. Maybe they'll think about it over the winter break, but we'll see. All right, gang, that's it. So thanks for tuning in. If you like what I do here, like and subscribe. Let's hear your comments on which one of these you think is the Galaxy. If you think it's this big 71-week one and they're just going to start work on it next year, or if you think that it was just the commercial and the 71-week thing is something else. Other than that, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and see me next time.